long wait is finally over. The NBA season is here. We get it going on Tuesday night. A couple of games on TNT. The Denver Nuggets will raise the championship banner as they host LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. And then the nightcap on TNT will have the Golden State Warriors against the Phoenix Suns. And the best news of all is Stacey's ready to go. Preseason is over. He will be behind the mic with Adam Amin for the first game at the United Center. The Bulls hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to have plenty of NBA talk. Coming up with David Schuster, the longtime NBA reporter, who's going to join us in a little bit. But Stacey, let's talk a little bit NBA before we get to the Bears. Obviously, fans missed you, and I know you're anxious to get back as well.
Yeah, I decided to take preseason off, talk to the Bulls about, getting a little bit more extra time to rehab and make sure the hip is, about as close as 100% as possible. So we did that. And, shout out to my rehab specialist, Nicole, over at Rush.
Yeah.
They took care of me over there. So looking forward to it.
And now the grind starts. You got to get plane travel and all that stuff. I mean, people don't realize that when you've had the hip issues, that's not the easiest thing in the world to be traveling like that.
No, and I'm not 100% right now, but I'm able to travel. I got the clearance to go travel, so I'm looking forward to getting the season started on Wednesday. Play again on Friday, I think, against the Raptors, and then we go on a 4 or 5 day road trip.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a test, that 4 or 5 day road trip. But I expect to be pretty close to 100% as the season goes along.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Whispers has got his windburn going. Still always red. It doesn't matter what season it is, right?
It was a long weekend out there in the sun and the wind. That's right. Hey,
so what's new with you, Whispers? What's going on?
I was out with Stacey last Friday night, and part of his rehab, he was telling the whole group that he's playing Twister again, which is good to
Oh,
hear.
there you go.
Come on, man.
Working that
Telling stories out of school
Come
again.
on, baby.
Oh yeah, it was something to hear about though.
Hey,
More
Naked
hand on the
Twister,
yellow.
America. Naked Twister.
That's what
we're playing. Naked Twister.
That's what I was talking about.
Shout out to you know who.
Yeah, what's with the boys?
No, there's no boys playing Naked
Yeah,
Twister. No.
We're not going there.
They're not going there. No, that wasn't that kind of party, okay? It was a different party.
It's a game for all seasons.
Yes,
There's
it
no
is.
question about that.
Oh, yes. So baby will too.
Hey, Oklahoma City's coming in on Wednesday. Chet Holmgren, who didn't play last year because of an injury, was technically a rookie. He'll be eligible for the Rookie of the Year award. He was something to see in the preseason. I'll tell you what, Wembanyama is certainly the favorite for Rookie of the Year, but Chet Holmgren's going to be a factor for that Oklahoma City team.
Yeah, he is. I mean, that's a very good young Oklahoma City team. They got all the right pieces to make a legitimate run in the Western Conference. This is a kid that can, shoot 3-point shots. He can put the ball on the floor. Really athletic, big. But it's going to be interesting to see where he fits in, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's the main guy. And you got Josh Giddey, young point guard, 6'7", 6'8", point guard. Louis Dort. There's a lot of good talent on that team. So it'll be interesting where he finds his way to operate, do the things that he wants to do.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a lot of people don't know much about him, but he averaged 30 points a game last year. I've seen some of the preseason MVP lists. He's been listed in the top 10 favorites to win the MVP award. This is a guy who can score. He's got good positional size, and I think some people really slept on him. I know when he came out of that draft, there were a lot of good point guards, and he played at Kentucky where those guys normally don't get a lot of shots under John Calipari, but he's blown up to be easily a top 10 player in the league now.
Well, he was with the Clippers and wasn't getting really a lot of playing time there. Then got moved to Oklahoma City, and then Chris Paul came, and he was able to play a year with Chris Paul and learn how to be a point guard and watch how Chris Paul operates. And then once Chris Paul left, then, it opened up the door for him to do what he's doing now. This is a guy that doesn't shoot the three very well, but he's a decent three-point shooter. But where he's really effective is being able to break people down at the top of the circle. He's not very fast, but he gets to where he needs to get. He gets to the foul line. Had a great summer with Team Canada, even though Team Canada kind of flamed out. Mm-hmm. But he played extremely well, was one of the top players in the world, in the FIBA tournament. So this is a kid who's really ascended. He's starting to become a superstar player in this league. So it's going to be interesting. We get a chance to see him on Wednesday. It's an opportunity for the Bulls at home to play against a very good Oklahoma City team. This is not a team that it's going to make the playoffs. And so the mindset for the Bulls should be, this is a big game for us. Even though it's game number one, this is against a playoff caliber team from the Western Conference.
The other big story in the Western Conference, the Memphis Grizzlies, who are already going to be without John Morant because of a 25-game suspension, learned over the weekend that their big center, Steven Adams, is going to have a surgical procedure on his knee. They were hoping their rehab would take care of it. He's going to miss the entire season. And I think that basically takes them from being maybe a fringe contender to a team that may be in the play-in tournament.
Well, and that really hurt them last year. You know, they losing Steven Adams really, really hurt them in the playoffs last year. This is a guy that does all the dirty work. You don't have to run plays for him. He's not demanding the ball in the post, but he's become an effective scorer when the ball gets to him inside. You know, he's a great pick and roll guy, sets a lot of screens, gets, their shooters open, gets John Morant opportunities to attack the rim. He's going to be sorely missed because not only does he do all those little intangible things that help a team win, he's a very good rebounder and a very good defensive player, and he's a big dude.
And Memphis is still without Brandon Clark, who was hurt last year. He's still rehabbing from a serious injury. He's going to be out the beginning of the season. So they're going to have to deal with some size issues up front. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have to play a lot of center, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Let's get back to the Bulls. And Monday is the deadline for players who are entering their fourth season to sign rookie extensions. We've seen some crazy numbers. The biggest one I've seen so far, Jaden McDaniels gets $136 million from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's a good player. He's a good defensive player, a good complementary player to the things they have going on there, but that's a big financial commitment for a guy that only scores 10, 12 points a game.
Well, he's considered one of the better 3-and-D players, and 3-and-D wings are getting paid. And he's a young player that has a huge upside, and they see the future. A lot of these kids are getting paid on potential on this first rookie deal. Teams have seen enough of these guys to throw this money at him and say, okay, we're projecting him from point A to point C to be this kind of player. What we've seen so far in the 2 or 3 years that we've had these players, and Minnesota wanted to lock him up very quickly because he on the open market with the way teams need 3-and-D players, he would have been gone.
And I think Minnesota feels like they can make a big jump this year. Anthony Edwards was one of the stars of that World Cup tournament over the summer. He's a guy that could make that next step. And when you pair him with Karl Anthony Towns, they've got Rudy Gobert. They've got a deep roster. I think they feel like, maybe with some teams falling back a little bit, they could move up in the Western Conference standings.
Minnesota's my surprise team. I expect them to make some noise. They've got all the pieces to go make a deep run, at least to the second round. And with, when you got Memphis now losing Steven Adams, a team that you would have thought would have been favored being in the top 4, that hurts their chances. And now you got Minnesota, who has all the necessary tools. You got Rudy Gobert, who's a rim protector. Karl Anthony Towns is a big that can do a lot of things for Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is going to have a breakout year. He's going to be superstar status. Right. He made the All-Star team last year. He's going to be an All-Star this year. And I think this is the year that he takes over that team and it becomes his team. I thought the first couple of years he was deferring, and you saw bits and pieces of when he wanted to take over a game, what kind of difference he makes. I think now after playing for Team USA, I think now and then last year what he did, I think now you're looking at this kid now taking over as a star player on that Minnesota team.
And they still have the veteran Mike Conley to run the point.
Yep.
So that's a good squad in Minnesota, a team to watch in the NBA this season. We're talking about the rookie contract extensions, a couple other ones that have happened on Monday. The Atlanta Hawks signed their backup center, Onyeka Okongwu, to a 4-year, $62 million extension. So he's getting paid. The backup Clint Capella in Atlanta. Denny Avdia, a guy that the Bulls looked at in that 2019 draft, he got a $55 million 5-year extension from the Washington Wizards. And so now the question is, Monday at midnight's the deadline. Will Patrick Williams sign an extension?
I mean, I've heard some really mind-boggling numbers. I mean, I think it was I don't know who put it out, but they were talking about that Patrick's people were looking for $200 million. Yeah. I think it was Zach Lowe who reported for ESPN that his people wanted $200 million. I mean, you look at his career stats. 170 games. The first 2 years were marred by injury. Under 10 points, 1.3 assists, under 5 rebounds.
That's an issue that Billy really wants to improve on.
I mean, with his size and his athletic ability, his rebound number should be somewhere around that 6 to 8 range. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could easily go get 8 rebounds a game with his size and his ability to play above the rim. That number is really, really low for his talent level. You see 41% from the 3-point line, almost shooting, almost 80% from the foul line. this is a big year. And if you're the Bulls, if you have that opportunity to wait and see, because I don't think they're going to get a deal done. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Just popped up. Woj said no deal done.
Yeah. See, I just dun, 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 dun,
Breaking news.
Breaking news by Whispers.
Whispers doing the work over there,
Hey,
cranking on the computer.
Got to keep going.
Yeah, there you go.
Find some tidbits out there.
See, little tidbits, okay? But I didn't think they were going to get a deal done.
And the Bulls historically have always said if you want that guaranteed money, you may have to give us a team-friendly discount.
Well, I mean, it's not even a team-friendly discount. It's like it's being honest of what you think that player is worth.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's worth $150 million, then they're going to have to pay him $150 million. But I think they're in a situation now is that he hasn't done enough consistently to say give him $136 million, as you saw with Jaden McDaniel. McDaniels has done a lot in that little time that he's been in Minnesota that you could say he's warranted that. That's pretty much the going rate for small forwards. Patrick Williams has been playing power forward. His natural position, in my opinion, is small forward. So now the Bulls are going to say, okay, we're going to wait and see how you do this year. It's almost like that same situation with Jimmy Butler. I know the numbers are totally different where Jimmy bet on himself. He's like, okay, y'all, you don't want to pay me what I think I'm worth, then I'll avoid this signing now, and then we'll see what happens in the summer. And then he ends up getting a big deal. And I think it's the same thing. There it is.
Yeah, we've got, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're not, we'll read you what Woj is saying. No rookie contract extensions for Atlanta's Sadiq Bey, New York's Emmanuel Quickley, Chicago's Patrick Williams, Indiana's Obi Toppin, and Toronto's Precious Achua. So those are some names that they're going to have to go into the restricted free agent market this summer. Teams will retain the right to match any offer. And I think the Bulls are like, hey, if Patrick has a great year, we'll pay him what he's worth.
Listen, that's a smart move. You go out, let's just say the Bulls offer him, if they would have offered him a contract today, they'd be bidding against themselves. So it makes sense to say, hey, look, let's see what this kid does this year and see, he's going to have opportunities to do a lot of different things. First, he's got to stay healthy. Second thing, he has to come out every single night and be playing at a consistent level, because that's been the biggest thing with Patrick is inconsistency. There's games where he looks like, wow, this guy's a world beater. And then there's others, he disappears. A lot of that is deferring to the veteran players on this team, but he can't defer now. I mean, he can't defer. If he really wants to be paid like he thinks he should be paid, then he's going to have to come out and have a big year. That 9.7 career average is going to have to be 15, 16 points this year, 7, 8 rebounds. Those numbers have to be a big difference from what the Bulls have seen his first few seasons here.
So that'll be something to watch, the continued development of Patrick Williams, as he's going to be a restricted free agent coming up this summer. And as we mentioned, the Bulls will be happy to pay him if he has a big year coming up this season. We're going to talk a lot more NBA with David Schuster a little bit later in the show, but now let's switch it to the Bears. I was at Soldier Field yesterday, was pleasantly surprised by what I saw. Tyson Bagent, the undrafted free agent out of Shepherd University, Division II, was very efficient, 21 for 29. Most of the passes were check downs, quick reads, but he executed the offense to perfection. He was really efficient.
Well, this is one of the things that they really liked about him in the Senior Bowl. When they were scouting him, the ability time to make quick decisions and read what's available. And I think you saw that yesterday. Now, the big problem right now is that if he wins, if Fields doesn't come back this next week and he does well again, now people are going to be calling for, Purdy. We got a Brock Purdy situation, and I don't think that's even close to what San Francisco's been able to do. But this kid, has shown you some things. He got the ball to his playmakers. They were able to run the ball with Foreman, and that's what I've always said about this Bears team. Even when they have struggled, their running game is still picking up 4 or 5 yards a carry. And you take pressure off of the quarterback when you can run the football. They kind of get away from running the football with Justin Fields and rely more on him running the football. Yeah. But you saw Foreman, 16 carries, 89 yards. I mean, I picked him up on my fantasy team a couple of weeks ago, and he came up big. Foreman, baby,
3 touchdowns.
Foreman, baby, way to go, baby, help me.
Whispers, what do you think about Bagent? I think that the one knock on him, and the reason why he probably wasn't drafted, is arm strength. We saw the one ball he threw against Minnesota into the wind. It kind of hung up, got intercepted when they had a chance maybe to win the game.
He addressed it. He says he has a cannon, but
he said that, and then everybody laughed.
But the thing is, it's not that big of a surprise if you look at his career. I mean, he started every game since his sophomore year in college, has the most touchdowns in FBS history, and then he won the Harlan Award as well. So
He won a big time award as the top quarterback in Division II. And we mentioned this on last week's show. His dad, Travis, is the world arm wrestling champion. I saw a clip on social media where he was messing around with a reporter on the sideline, and he took the microphone and basically did the segment. This guy's got a great personality, but I think right now he's kind of staying in the background because he wants his son to have his chance to shine.
Yeah, but you'd think he'd have that arm strength after they talked about the Nate Peterman bizarre.
Yeah, they put him in to throw a Hail Mary and he fumbles
it. Yeah, it's very strange.
You know what though? I think the arm strength is a valid point, but I think it's a moot point because there's a lot of guys in this league that don't have the arm strength. Brock Purdy doesn't have super arm strength, but he reads defenses. He gets the ball to the right people. The offensive coordinator, Shanahan, and the offensive coordinator design plays, quick hitters where he's able to read quickly, make a decision with the football, get the ball, and then let his receivers run after catch. Yeah. So, the same thing with this kid. He may not have the arm strength, but what you saw is quick decisions, get the ball to your playmakers, and then let them make the play.
Yeah, passer, not a thrower.
Yeah, and Matt Eberflus quickly wanted to shoot down any potential quarterback controversy. He was asked who his number one quarterback is, and he immediately and very strongly stated that Justin Fields is the number one quarterback. Tyson Bagent is the backup. We're happy that he played well, got a victory over a Raiders team that really struggled in that game on the lakefront. But, they're going to give Fields every opportunity when he's ready to come back to show that he can be a franchise quarterback here in Chicago. The update on Fields on Monday, we're going to talk to Mark Grote in a little bit. They said that he's making progress with that dislocated right thumb. He's still working with the trainers to get the swelling and the soreness out of there. So he's doubtful for this coming Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's going to be a Sunday night game. So Bagent will get his second start. And the funny thing about this, Stacey, is the Bears should have beaten Denver. They were winning 28-7 in that game. They had a good chance to beat the Vikings. This whole thing could be flipped. The NFL is so topsy-turvy this year. Buffalo lost again over the weekend. I mean, you're only seeing a couple of teams that are really legitimately strong. The rest of them, you can all throw them in a hat to see who's going to win.
Lions got smoked.
Yeah, Lions got killed by Baltimore yesterday. The one thing, again, if this kid wins, let's say he's out there for 4 or 5 games, and the team goes 4-1 or 5-0 with him out there, then you can start saying there may be a quarterback controversy. But this is just one game. He's going to go up against a pretty solid front four against the Chargers that get after the quarterback. Khalil Mack, you got, Joey Bosa. Those guys get after the quarterbacks. Now, let's see what he does, on Sunday against them. And then you look at what they've got left on the schedule. I mean, had they won a couple of those other games, and then you look at New Orleans, that's a winnable game. Carolina's definitely a winnable game. Detroit, I don't think so. Minnesota, I don't think so. Detroit again, nope. Cleveland, nope. Arizona, yes. Atlanta, maybe. Atlanta looked good. They looked good yesterday. And Green Bay.
You know what, though? The league is so topsy-turvy right now that I know at the beginning of the year people were saying it'd be a good season for the Bears if they win 8 or 9 games. Of course, that's out the window now. But you consider the couple of games they gave away, they could have been in contention for a wild card spot. They should at least be 3-4 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave some games away, you know. And I thought that, I'm a big believer in preseason games. You got to play some preseason games to get some continuity. Get having these guys sit out preseason and then just showing up for game one. I thought that Green Bay game was winnable. The opening game, I thought they should have won that game. They look rusty. They look like they hadn't had a preseason. Some penalties, guys. Offensive line didn't have a very good game. I thought that hurt them, and I thought the Denver game, being able not running the ball, not taking the points instead of trying to go. It was 4th and 1, and you're taking a shotgun formation 5 yards back, and Denver comes back and wins the game. So, those kind of games you look back and go, man, if we would have just done some things differently, maybe we have a chance. Because, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could have won 2 or 3 of those games.
And all of a sudden, the Bears' defense has really come on. Over the last 3 games, they've only allowed 44 points, and they were dominant in the win over the Raiders. Jaylon Johnson had 2 interceptions, one of them a pick 6, and the knock on Jaylon is that, he doesn't get many interceptions. He only had 1 in his NFL career until yesterday, but then after he ran it back for a touchdown, he did the old money thing, because he's looking for a new contract. And afterwards, he was asked by reporters, were you sending a message? He goes, "You're damn right."
Yeah, you know what though? I mean, listen. I mean, this is a player-driven league. This is players being successful. You play a certain way. You get some interceptions. You got 2 yesterday. You finish out the season with a nice number, and he's going to get paid because the Bears, and just like any team, you can't keep letting talent walk out the door.
Right.
You can't, because you don't want to pay them.
Yeah, you lost Roquan Smith.
Exactly,
that way, yeah.
exactly. And you're not taking anything away from the linebackers they have now, but they would have been much better to pay Roquan Smith, who's under 30 years old, and really having a great season.
And he was your guy. You drafted him.
And he was your guy, and he's a guy that wanted to be here, and he fit that Chicago mode of being that linebacker that Bears fans have been known to see, like that tradition of linebackers. You let him go. He's having a hell of a year in Baltimore right now, and just imagine how good your defense would have been if he would have stayed here.
Yeah, the defense has been very impressive to watch over the last few weeks, and if they can continue to play at that level, they could probably win with Tyson Bagent playing a conservative ball control kind of offense. Ben, you got something for us? Can't hear you.
Oh, I thought he was a ventriloquist.
Mark is ready for us? All right, Let's bring in our guy, Mark Grote, who's been working hard, getting the Monday updates at Hallis Hall. Matt Eberflus met the media to give an update on Justin Fields and a whole bunch of other things. So we're going to bring in Grote in just a second. There he is. Mark Grote joining us. Hey, thanks, Mark, for jumping on. We appreciate all the hard work. People are following your coverage at The Score. Saw you in the press box yesterday, and it was nice to walk into a winning locker room. That hadn't happened since September of last season. So what were your thoughts? Kind of a surprise how easily they dispatched the Raiders.
Yeah, no, that's a great word to use, how easily it happened. I mean, I didn't think it was out of the realm of possibility that the Bears would beat Vegas, but they did it systematically, and I almost mean that literally. I mean, there was this highly conservative yet efficient game plan put forth by Luke Getsy that was followed to a T by Tyson Bagent, 21 of 29 for 162 yards, and that touchdown pass to Deontay Foreman. And, I think, one of the things, Mark, that came up when we were in that post-game presser with the Flus was, or actually with Tyson Bagent himself, was, how nice was it that every aspect of the Bears played well on your watch, not just offensively. I mean, we can talk about the offensive line and what they did and getting the ball out to 8 or 9 different receivers, but the defense was excellent as well on this day. Special teams, everybody contributed, and that's like gold to a quarterback. That's like when a pitcher has error-free baseball behind him and everything is going great that way. So Tyson Bagent had the benefit of that, but yeah, man, it was great to cover a win at Soldier Field.
Mark, the one thing I noticed about them, they had a game plan of really getting the ball out quick and allowing Bagent to, dump it off to his receivers and let them, yards after the catch. I thought Deontay Foreman really gave them a running game that kept the defense off balance. They weren't just able, Las Vegas wasn't just able to let's just blitz this young quarterback and put him in situations. I thought the game plan was basic, simple, but it was effective.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, too, about, their defense attacking the young quarterback, Max Crosby is one of the scariest pass rushers in the NFL, and a lot of us thought that he was just going to be an absolute menace to Tyson Bagent, but he was so efficient. And, here's the real beauty of Tyson Bagent, and, Matt Eberflus talked about this a little bit today, is that he's got that thing, that internal clock as a quarterback, or at least that's something that I'm seeing with him in terms of, now last week wasn't a great example when he was strip sacked, but there were so many examples in this game where he was able to elude pressure, step up in the pocket, and either make a play with his arm or take off. But I just thought his presence of mind was so spot on for this game. And I'm looking forward to seeing if that is something that he has, something that can continue to develop, because that's one of those things that's really hard to teach a quarterback, like actual presence of mind and that natural ability to elude in order to make a play as opposed to eluding to survive.
What did you think of Flus coming out so strongly and saying that Justin's my starter and Bagent's the backup? Can anything happen in the ensuing weeks to change that, or are the Bears committed to sticking with Justin Fields and giving him every opportunity to prove that he can be the franchise quarterback when he's healthy enough to return?
Yeah, I thought that for once, Matt Eberflus was ready for what was going to be a very obvious question to him. Like somebody was going to have to ask, does this affect Justin Fields in any way, shape, or form? I thought that was the exact right answer too, by the way. I mean, at this point, after that performance, and Bagent was fine. He was good according to the game plan, but it's not like he did something dynamic out there where you're like, oh man, we really got to take a look at Justin Fields. Justin Fields still 100% the guy. I agree with that notion. I'd leave open the gray area for my mind to be changed by Bagent if things keep going well. My best guess too is that Fields is going to miss this game against the Chargers, but then will return the following week. I think he's only going to miss a couple of games. And look, based on what he did in those 2 games this year, one of which the Washington game and then the goodness against Denver as well, I still want to see, like, now that I know that is there, I want to continue to see more of that. And this is not the time to just put Justin Fields down.
Yeah, one of the things about Bagent was coming in here. They talked about his being cerebral, being a guy that picks up things very quickly. They talked about the Senior Bowl where the scouts from Chicago really. Right, that's where he was discovered, and they were amazed about the way he can pick things up and read things quickly. And it was very evident, Mark. Would you say against the Las Vegas Raiders that whoever scouted him, they probably should give that guy a raise?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one of the things that they said in terms of that ability to be, I guess we'll just call him unflappable, is that he's played so much football that we don't really see these guys anymore that play 4 years of football at the college level. And then, as he said, even in high school, he said that it was his sophomore year where he took over the varsity starting gig in high school. So, I mean, that's even big. So he's just played so much football in his life that I think that adds to the unflappability that has existed when he's out there. So he's a guy who, like, I think the bottom line is that Tyson Bagent, smart, like you said, he knows what he's doing out there. He knows what is supposed to happen. The question is does he have the arm talent to continue to execute? Now, we know he could execute at that level, with the screen passes and the short passes. He's 0 explosive plays. The next question is can he operate on another level? And if he can operate on that level consistently, then you start to talk about a guy who could be a starting quarterback in the NFL, whether it would be with the Bears or with another team. We'll find out how that works, but that's what that would show. For now, he has shown that he could probably be a pretty good backup in the National Football League, but if he shows arm at some point in time, he's a starter somewhere.
Traditionally, Mark, the NFL has not been big with the trade deadline that's coming up next Tuesday on Halloween. But the last couple of years, we've seen more trades in the NFL. And, of course, one involving the Bears when they shipped Roquan Smith off to the Ravens. There had been a lot of speculation that maybe Jaylon Johnson could be on the move. And, of course, he gets 2 picks, including a pick 6 yesterday, and does the money, money, money celebration in the end zone. Of course, he was very vocal. We just discussed the fact that he was, saying, damn right, I deserve to be paid. Do you think that stance may lead to him being shipped out next week?
Well, that's interesting you say that. I'm actually opening up my phone right now because he was just on. Jaylon Johnson was just on the score with Parkins and Spiegel. And I actually just tweeted this out right before I came on with you guys. So Jaylon Johnson asked by Parkins and Spiegel, are you and the Bears currently negotiating a contract extension? He said, yeah, it's a process, but things are, I will say, starting to hopefully ramp up. We'll see where things go in the next week ahead of the deadline. So he does mention the deadline, close quote. And then the follow-up, guys, was just to confirm your reps and the Bears are talking, right? And he gave a definitive yes. But remember, the week before that, when he was on Parkins and Spiegel, he was talking about the fact that based on what you just said, Chanowski, about Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith getting traded. Anybody could get traded. So he's clearly a little bit paranoid about that, or has an eye out for that potential.
Yeah.
So what should we look forward to against this Charger team? Because we were just talking about it earlier, that he's going to face a rush this week against, Khalil Mack, and you're going to have, Bosa. They get after the quarterback with their front four really, really good. So what do you think the game plan is going to be? Same as it was against the Las Vegas Raiders with Crosby, get the ball out quick, make quick decisions and let your playmakers take off?
Yeah, I don't think it's time to alter the playbook drastically at all. There's going to obviously be some different wrinkles, but yeah, to the point about the rush, that this game plan, I would think, the one that they just had against Vegas would definitely be in sync against the Chargers, maybe even releasing a little bit more quickly in a game like this. We were talking to Matt Eberflus today about what's next. Could we see them open it up a little bit? And, Eberflus was down with the idea, and he does think that he can do those things. But, hey, look, even if it wasn't the Chargers and they didn't have a good pass rushing team, I would still say, let's not get carried away. Keep doing what you're doing. And then when the time is right, then you start to put more on his plate and open it up and see what he's actually made of in terms of making those long ball throws.
Whispers, you got anything for Mark?
Yeah. Hey, Mark, did you think it was strange that not only did they think Peterman had a stronger arm, but also a stronger knee to finish the game?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause he didn't get the kneel down there. Yeah. That's funny, man. I asked that question. I did end up asking that at the press conference today. And he just said, the game was over. And he said something to the effect of, Matt Eberflus said, that's just what we do. And he had some of the other backups were in the game. So I think he was just like in an NBA game, the starters all sit down at the end and they throw the reserves in, get guys some run that don't normally get out there. But yeah, the big knee and the big arm. I got to be honest with you, Whispers, until Matt Eberflus gave the explanation about Peterman throwing the bomb at the half, I didn't know Peterman had a strong arm.
I've never seen it.
No.
And as a reporter, that's probably my bad, but I didn't know he had a strong arm.
Well, how about Bagent saying, I got a cannon? So he's like, I should have thrown that ball. Yeah.
Oh, that was great, man. And Sanowski, did you notice how serious he was being? We all laughed when he said that. And he was being dead serious.
Yeah.
Oh, we all did, because he's like, I got a cannon for arm. And then he goes on and says, yeah, I could have made that throw. I got a really strong arm. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a strong arm. So we all laughed at him. So I was thinking about how he must have felt after that. Did they just laugh at me when I said I got a cannon for an arm? That's what happened.
And his dad's going to come in and rain holy terror on the media.
Yeah, he's just going to one arm everybody and just slam them on tables.
Yeah, does he kick people's asses with one arm too?
Oh, my
Not
gosh.
just arm wrestling. Does he do everything with that left hand? Yeah.
The legend of Travis Bagent.
Oh,
So we got that to worry
they're
about.
both legendary. It's unbelievable how legendary these quarterback and father are.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for joining us. It was fun to cover a winning locker room yesterday, and hopefully we'll get a chance for a few more W's before the season comes to a close.
Amen. Good to be on with you guys as always. And I apologize for missing last week. The Jaylon Johnson stuff all hit at the wrong time. So I'm back, baby.
All right. Mark Grote, our Bears
Appreciate it, Mark.
insider here on Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Thanks, Mark.
We're going to talk a little more NBA with David Schuster in a bit, but first I'm going to tell you about one of our great sponsors, our good friend Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance. He's our good buddy, nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. You see the phone number on your screen, 847-825-4783. Tell him the guys that Gimme the Hot Sauce sent you. And, of course, Stacey's going to be singing the jingle on a regular basis. Not that he hasn't on a weekly basis, but he's got a warm-up version for us today.
Nationwide is on your side.
Wow.
Rich.
Yeah.
Feel the vibration. Couldn't you,
Yeah,
Mark?
the little Barry White.
My chair
voice of
vibrated.
Stacey. Hey, I'm like, what are you doing over there, man? Your chair vibrating. Hey, turn the fan on over here.
Got some extra bass in here.
So we got our first Bulls game coming up on Wednesday. David Schuster is going to join us to talk more about that in just a sec. It is my pleasure to welcome in my good friend and my former co-host on the short-lived but extremely popular Sharpshooters podcast. When I say extremely popular, David, I mean with my family and your family. It's good to talk to you again, Shu.
My family didn't even bother to listen.
You couldn't even get your family to listen. Oh man,
that's hard. That's hardcore right there.
Ouch.
Hey, we know that you love the NBA like all of us do, and the season is going to tip off Tuesday night. The expectations nationally for the Bulls are low. Most of the projected win totals are in the high 30s. Stacey thinks they're going to be much better than that. I think the addition of Javon Carter and Torrey Craig is definitely going to help the team. How do you look at this Bulls team as we get ready to tip it off?
I want to be optimistic, and I'll be more optimistic than I guess the national people, because I saw ESPN's total today was 37. So they think they're going to go 37-45. They're going to be right around 500. I hope that I'm wrong about that and they're even higher, but that's just the way I see it. Obviously Zach LaVine is going to do his thing, and DeMar DeRozan is, maybe potentially headed out to the Hall of Fame someday. And Vucevic is coming off a really good season. I still don't know about Kobe White being a point guard. I think we've had this discussion many times. I think he's better than he was a couple of years ago when they tried him at that position. And obviously Patrick Williams is at times an enigma. They do have depth, and I do like that. And I think the second unit is going to bring a lot of energy consistently on the defensive end of the court, especially led by Alex Caruso. And I'm a big fan of Andre Drummond. But, difference makers is what, it takes to be an NBA playoff team and then ultimately a champion team. So I just don't think they have enough when it comes to that. So, maybe they can get as high as number 6 in the East, but the East is so good, guys. I mean, Milwaukee is obviously the team to beat, and Boston's right with them. The Knicks are better. Philadelphia, minus, the goofball James Harden. I don't know what's going on with him. Cleveland's better. Miami's better. Even Orlando is an up-and-coming team. So, where the Bulls ultimately slot pending injuries and so many other things, 500, maybe a number 6 spot in the East.
Well, Shush, you saw today that the Bulls declined to pick up Patrick Williams, his rookie deal. What do you think about that, and what message does that send? Is that one of these situations? Let's wait and see how you play this year before they commit to him. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, Stacey. And I think that's the right course of action on the Bulls' part. I mean, again, at times he's shown he can be a pretty damn good player in the NBA, but at other times he disappears, and it goes all the way back to his college days. Even though he only played 1 year at Florida State, he deferred to older players. And I think at times he's still deferring to a lot of his teammates and older players, even on the Bulls roster. So if I'm the Bulls, unlike some other guys who they signed right after their rookie deals to longer-term contracts, I think it's a wait and see on their part, and I think it's the right wait and see.
It's interesting when Vooch met the media on Media Day, he was pretty candid in saying that when he was negotiating to come back to Chicago, that he wanted a larger role in the offense, but he also kind of understood the message from the front office was, you got to get it done now, that this could be the last run for Vooch and DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Is it imperative on them to get off to a good start, or we might be hearing a lot of trade rumors as we head into the new year?
I think anything's a possibility, Mark. Yeah, I think well, first of all, it's imperative always to get off to a good start. And, I'm sure Stacey will echo that from all his playing days. But yeah, I think it's really important because the Bulls, what you see is pretty much what you've gotten from this squad over the last couple of years. Again, the big three with LaVine and Vucevic and DeRozan, I don't think there's any question all three of those guys will deliver, but it's the rest of the guys that need to help them out, both, in the starting unit and coming off the bench. And if they don't get a lot of wins, there's going to be a lot of pressure. DeMar DeRozan, could easily be traded at the trading deadline, pending on where they are in the standings. I don't see Zach going anywhere, not yet. I think there's just owed too much money, and obviously Vooch just signed a 3-year deal. So, but DeRozan is the guy that easily, if things don't go right the way they want them to go, and everybody knows this, he could be traded at the deadline. There's no question about that.
One of the things, Shoes, that I kind of disagree with the 37.5 wins or 40 wins is that Zach LaVine will come into the season healthy. Last year, he didn't get healthy till All-Star break, and that really, really hurt the Bulls because his lack of explosion because of his knee. He was hurting. You could tell he was kind of laboring in the first part of the year. This year, he's healthy. When I watched him in preseason, he's got that explosion back. He's attacking the rim. He's playing above the rim again. I think that's huge for the Bulls this year.
Yeah, Stacey, there's no question. He's at the prime of his career, and he's had, knee injuries throughout, but yet he's come back better seemingly each and every time that he's had a knee injury. So I don't think there's any question. Zach's going to score his 25, 26, 27 points a game average. DeRozan's going to do his thing. Vooch is going to do his thing as well. And by the way, Vucevic had a really, really good year last year, at least in my opinion, he did. And that's why he got the contract to stay here. But again, they need much more than that, Stacey. They need more difference makers. And I think they need a little bit more size, to be honest with you, even though Andre Drummond comes off and he's a double-double machine himself. I just think they need more guys. I mean, take a look at the East. Milwaukee is loaded, obviously. Lillard. And by the way, Milwaukee's taking a gamble. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but if they don't win a championship either this or next year, I mean, Giannis could still move on after that.
Yeah.
Lillard will be older at that point. They'll have no draft picks until maybe the next millennium. So, they better win a championship. And I know that's your hometown team, Mark. They better win a championship in the next 2 years because if they don't,
Giannis ain't going nowhere. He just signed an extension with the Bucks. Yes.
Wow. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Wow.
3 years.
What is going on today?
3 years, $186 million. And I think a lot of that had to do, he put pressure on them that, hey, they got to win now. You got to go out and make a move. You got to bring someone there. And listen, Dame's name was not even brought up. Milwaukee wasn't even a player in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes. It was all Miami. It was other teams. Milwaukee kind of creeped in the dark. They had something to offer. They were able to pull that off. Now you get your superstar player now committed for another 4 years. They're set. He ain't going nowhere. Even if they don't win, he's still there.
All right. Well, that was a smart move, obviously, by Milwaukee. And they must have felt the pressure knowing that, if they didn't do something to satisfy him, and obviously that's economics, if they didn't satisfy him economically and they didn't win a championship the next couple of years, he was going to move on. So, now he's wrapped up and now Milwaukee will stay in the hunt for the next few years as long as Lillard and Giannis can coexist on the court. And I don't think there's any question they will.
Funny thing is that Giannis, in those well-publicized interviews, said it made no sense for him to sign the extension this year because he could get more money if he waited until next summer. So he basically completely contradicted himself. But I guess with that kind of guaranteed money, what are we talking the difference? I mean, and he's got so much money coming to him off the court.
He was going to get the max regardless if he did it this year or next year. It didn't matter. He was going to get the max.
And he'll get another contract after that.
And he's still young. And he's going to get another one.
Yeah.
And guys, am I correct about this? He has been working out with the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes,
in the
he did this summer. Yeah,
I'm going to be really interested to see what kind of next steps in his offensive game, especially working with Olajuwon, what he takes, because obviously he's a force already.
When you look at the Eastern Conference, Schuster, I mean, you've seen some teams really make some improvements. I think Indiana is going to be a much better team than what people think. Halliburton being that point guard, they got a lot of young talent. They picked up Obi Toppin from New York, which I thought was huge. I'm a big fan of Toppin. I think he's going to add something going on with Miles Turner, two bigs that are athletic, interchangeable. You keep going down, looking at the Central Division. People are not talking about Cleveland. Even though Cleveland was one of the better teams, you don't hear their name even mentioned as a team that can possibly come out of the Eastern Conference. Talk a little bit about what you see in the Eastern Conference and who you think are favorites.
All right. Again, Milwaukee's got to be the favorite, especially after they picked up Lillard, and now Giannis will be happy, both at the bank and on the court. Boston is obviously very good. I mean, Jason Tatum is a top 10 player, maybe even better than that in the NBA. Jaylen Brown had a great regular season last year. He tailed a little bit in the postseason, but that's a really good duo right there. Drew Holiday is going to certainly help them out. I know, Mark, you like him a lot, especially on the defensive end of the court. It's going to be really interesting to see how Porzingis fits in over there also. There's a lot of size, obviously. The Knicks with Brunson and Randall and Barrett, I mean, that's a pretty good trio themselves. Again, Philadelphia is going to be just a soap opera. I almost feel bad for the people who have to cover that team. I don't know what James Harden's going to do over the next 48 hours, but again, apparently he didn't show up at camp today. Is he going to be there for the opener, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday? I'm not really sure.
I think they're better without him, David. I think with letting Maxey go and run that team, I think they can play faster. I think they'll be a more efficient team.
probably so, but they're still going to need to pick up somebody else if he doesn't play with them, to fill out their roster. Cleveland, obviously, I mean, I love Donovan Mitchell. When he's hot, I mean, he scored. How many did he score in that one game last year?
71 against the Bulls.
I mean, you have to be a great player.
Way to bring up an old
Salt
injury. Oh, yeah, I was at that game. I was like, well, somebody tackle him, hard foul him, do something, man.
Where's Norman Van Leer?
Yeah, somebody go out there and hit this dude, man. He was killing us.
Yeah, I remember Norton going after, was it Sidney Wicks with the chair at the old Chicago Stadium? I was there. There was a fan that day, believe it or not. Mobley, I love for Cleveland. I think he's a future potential MVP candidate if he continues to grow. Miami's obviously got Gimme and Bam. Atlanta with Trae Young. Indianapolis, you mentioned Halliburton. I love his game. I really do. And like I said, Orlando is an up-and-coming team, too. I don't know how many more draft picks they have over the next few years with Wagner and Banchero and even Wendell Carter, who had a really good year last year, guys. He's gotten better and better. Even is able to shoot a three, which every time he did it with the Bulls, I cringed. I know you guys probably did as well, but he's gotten better. So yeah, the East is loaded, Stacey. I think the Bulls are going to have a hard time slotting, anywhere higher than number 6 in the East. I really do.
I don't see them. I see them better in a play-in game this year. I see them somewhere between that 6 and 8 range. One of the things I've been impressed with in preseason, even though I didn't do preseason games, I watched every single one of them. And one of the things I've been impressed with is the movement of the basketball. There wasn't a lot of isolation. Now, granted, it's preseason. Will this carry over to the regular season, or will they go back to doing some of the things that they're comfortable doing? The isolation with DeMar, Zach coming down, alternating. Because I thought in preseason, the ball was popping around the horn. Guys were getting wide open looks, 3-point shots. The new guys coming in contribute on both ends of the floor. And I'm hoping to see that trend continue starting on Wednesday.
It's interesting, Stacey, because Billy Donovan did talk about that the other day. The one thing that he did bemoan in the preseason was the overall defensive effort. But he said, with a couple of new guys, with Carter and Craig, who, by the way, are known for their defense, by the way, that it's just going to take a while for the guys to mesh defensively on that end of the court. So, I'm a big believer. I don't care if it's the NBA. I do believe that, defense will carry you pretty far if you're able to play it. And we'll see how far it does. Offensively, though, it still, to me, is going to boil down to how well can Kobe White play that position. I didn't like him at the point guard a couple of years ago when they tried it. I think he has gotten better. There's no question. And he can score, obviously. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. The big three with Levine and Vucevic and DeRozan, again, you know what you're going to get, and it's going to be really good. It's how much Kobe White and how much Patrick Williams can help you out in that starting unit.
I'm sure folks know that David's a longtime voice in Chicago radio. He's covered all of Chicago's professional teams and so many championships. But if you watch Bulls games at the United Center, you might see a smiling face between the two visiting TV broadcasters helping out with the visiting television feed. You got any stories to tell about maybe some classic mistakes or somebody saying something to you or getting mad at you about something that you could share with our audience?
Well, I won't tell you about the ones who might have gotten mad at me, but I will give you a classic one. I think it was the 88 All-Star game, and it was at the old building across the street, that's now demolished. And I think that's the year, if I'm not mistaken, Stacey, was that the year that Michael won the three-pointer and had okay. Anyway, so the game itself on Sunday, I was working for ABC Radio, and I was working for the two Hall of Famers, of course, and that's oh gosh, I'm spacing out on names all of a sudden. For the Celtics and for, it was Chick Hearn.
Okay.
It was Chick Hearn, and for the Lakers, Johnny Most.
Yeah.
Okay. And so one was the color guy, one was the play-by-play guy, and they switched off, every quarter, from play-by-play to color. And I'm sitting between them. And obviously in the late 80s, the rivalry between the Celtics and the Lakers were still really hot and heavy, obviously, because they were trading championships at that point. Well, I guess the competition between the franchises carried over to these two guys as well. And so you could just feel the intensity and almost a nastiness. And I love them both, and they're both really nice to me. But you could feel the competition between the two of them. And, when one of them would get up and go to the bathroom, the other guy would go, and most had that very gravelly voice, as you well probably remember. And you go, wow, that blank, 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 blank. And they come back and they'd be really nice. And then the other guy would go to the washroom, and Chick Hearn would go, he's a blankety, blankety, blank, blank, blank also. So, I'm sitting here between two Hall of Famers. I'm much younger back in those days, so I'm sort of shocked by what I'm hearing. But they were both, obviously at the top of their game back then, and Hall of Famers throughout. But it was just really interesting. I could feel the rivalry, even though it was just the All-Star game back then. But you could just feel the intensity between those two guys because of who they represented back in those days.
Remember, on Winning Time, they really made Chick Hearn out to be a jerk. On that show on HBO.
Well, they also gave him credit from helping making decisions.
Yeah, he was part of the front office.
He was part of the front office.
He probably was. Whispers, you got something for David?
Sure. Hey, years ago you said to Daddy Reinsdorf, I'm never going to ask you about being an owner again due to your ownership in restaurants and minor league baseball. Do you still feel the same way about that now?
Oh, God, yeah. It was so interesting that I went up to him one time, the story that you're telling, and I had owned a piece of the Schaumburg Flyers, the minor league baseball team at the time, and, some economic decisions were made, accordingly. And I went up to Jerry and I said, Jerry, I'll never criticize you ever again about any economic decisions, because now I'm on the other side of the fence and I totally get it. And he just laughed at me, as well he should have. But yeah, I learned a little bit by being a very, very minute minority owner back in those days. Yes.
That's great. How about the restaurant business?
Well, the restaurant business is a whole different story. You have to go into the restaurant business knowing that you're probably not going to make it, because I don't know what the percentage is, but 90% of restaurants usually don't make it. And obviously the pandemic did a lot of our restaurants in at the time, but it was fun being part of it, and the food was really good. And I actually got a lot of free food out of it. And that's being a good reporter, right, Mark?
All right, so before we let you go, look into your crystal ball. Who do you got winning the NBA championship this year?
Oh, boy. I'm not discounting, believe it or not, even though a lot of people, the national people, are not picking the Lakers even to make the playoffs. I think they're out of their minds. I don't put anything past LeBron. He's still the second greatest player I'll ever hope to see, next to Stacey's old teammate, Michael. And Anthony Davis, I still think, if he's healthy, is a top 5 player in the world as well. By the way, before I even get to who I'm picking, I'm really excited about the rookie crop this year, guys. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, we talked about it, yeah.
Wembanyama is already a difference maker. Not only can he guard the basket, he can guard the three-point line all by himself with that length that he has. It's unbelievable. Scoot Henderson, I'm looking forward to seeing Chet Holmgren. He's going to be here in a couple of nights. Obviously, the Thompson twins. This is a heck of a rookie crop. But if I had to pick a winner right now, why not? Why not go? Milwaukee is shot the dice here. I'm going to go with the Bucks to win it all.
There you go.
As long as they stay healthy.
Pop the Miller High Life, the champagne and bottle beers. There we go.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Okay. And that Denver is still the team.
Well, they're obviously, but you know what, Stacey? It's hard to repeat, even though you were part of some repeat champions here in Chicago. It's in professional sports, for whatever reason, it's getting harder and harder to repeat.
It's mentality, though. It's mentality, because a lot of times this new generation, their mindset is they're still partying. They're still partying from the year before. And when they come into training camp, the one thing that we were always able to do is we could turn it off and then get refocused on what we needed to do for the second and third. And we also know how hard it was and how long it took us to get number one, that we refused to go back into that situation, and we wanted to continue to win. Because once you get to the top, Schuster, that's where you want to stay. Once you taste the honey, you don't want to taste shit. You don't want to taste it. I'm just telling you right now. You don't want to taste it. You just don't want to taste it. That's how we work.
Well, all right. Well, you guys tell me, who are you picking at this early juncture?
I'm going with Denver. Because Jokic, to me, is still arguably the best player right now in the league, top 3. And I think as long as he stays healthy, it looks like he didn't really do a lot this summer. He probably was dancing on tables and watching horses. And that's my only concern about him, is that he didn't do a lot this summer, because his body always looks like he's out of shape anyway. but he does look a little bit out of shape when I've seen him this year, this in preseason. And that's my only concern, is that he still got that hangover, and that Denver team still has that hangover. But hopefully Mike Malone, who's a very good coach, underrated coach, can turn those guys around and get them refocused on what they need to do.
I kind of like
Hey,
Phoenix,
Mark.
David. I think that they made a lot of under-radar moves, with their minimum salaries. After they made the trade for Bradley Beal, they had 4 max guys at one point when DeAndre Ayton was still on the roster. And, they had no money to spend in free agency. They went out and added some guys that I think are really going to help their bench. Everyone's talking about Denver and the Lakers. I think Phoenix is going to be really good, and Bradley Beal's coming in there highly motivated to try to fit in and do what he can. I think it's Boston and Milwaukee in the East, and it should be a really good playoffs this year.
Let me just ask you one last question. Chris Paul out, and obviously Chris Paul's going to the Hall of Fame someday as well, but how does he fit out in Golden State? Did you agree with the move that they made to get him?
I like him there. I mean, he gives you another ball handler and allows Steph Curry to play off the ball more, and Klay Thompson. That means they're going to get easier shots because he's a guy that makes you become more efficient. He's going to find you in the spots that you want. I still think, Schuster, that they're too small. I think that, as well as they shoot the basketball, the West has gotten bigger. You saw the Lakers retool with length and size. Everybody now is gearing up for what Denver brings to the table with length and size. That's the only way you're going to beat that team. You cannot. I mean, it was proven that Miami couldn't beat Denver with that, quickness and like 6'9", 6'10" guys. You got to have some length and depth and some big guys on your team if you even want to have a chance to mess with the Denver Nuggets.
It's always going to be a big man sport, Stacey. You know it better than most.
Yes.
By the way, I'm hoping that D Rose fits in down in Memphis. I really, really hope he does. He's always going to be one of my favorites. But I think losing Steven Adams, the other day to knee surgery, that's going to hurt that team big, big, big time.
It hurt him last year. I think had he been there last year, maybe you're looking at Memphis playing in the conference finals, and maybe, who knows, maybe it's a different game. I think D Rose, the thing I like about D Rose signing is he gets to play that first 30 games probably and get a lot of minutes with John Morant being out. And then I think he moves into more of a role where he gives them experience coming off the bench, and it's a change of pace because he's still one of the fastest guards in the league. Even though he's older, he's still one of the fastest guards for 94 feet.
Yeah, he's always going to be all of our favorites. I'm sure I can speak for all you guys as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, David. Well, thanks for jumping on with us. Look forward to seeing you at the United Center this season. Make sure you're kind to those broadcasters so they don't turn on you during the game. They can be kind of temperamental.
100%. Hey,
never
guys,
us, though. Never me.
No, of course not, Stacey. I love you guys. All right, I'll catch you soon. Thanks for having me.
All right, David, thanks a lot for coming on. David Schuster, our guest on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Our guy Francisco has put together some great numbers for the NBA. We're going to take a look at that and talk a little college football when we come back. Always fun talking NBA with our good friend David Schuster. And we mentioned that Francisco's been working hard on some graphics. He's got odds for the NBA title favorite. The Boston Celtics are currently the favorite. And I think that with Drew Holiday is a perfect complement for Tatum and Brown. One of the knocks on those guys is sometimes it was your turn, my turn. There may be some maturity issues with, each one wanting to be the top dog. I think Holiday will really help with their mindset. And Porzingis is the wild card. If he can stay healthy at 7'3", with his shooting, that might be something they haven't had before.
Well, and one thing that Drew Holiday brings, he brings championship experience. He won a championship not too long ago with the Bucks. He's been an all-star. He's well respected in the league as being one of the top two-way players. And then when you factor in what Milwaukee has done by bringing in Dame Lillard to be the point guard and a scoring point guard of that, now you have a guy that can possibly neutralize Dame Lillard in a playoff series. And then now it becomes Brown and Tatum versus, Giannis and Chris Middleton. Milwaukee thinks they have a big three. I don't think Middleton is a big three member.
You still having problems with that?
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, the last 2 years he's been really battling a lot of injuries. And can you count on him when the chips are on the line? I just don't think. I think one of the things Milwaukee, even though they got Dame Lillard, should probably be looking for a big wing, a guy that can come in and play multiple positions, and then see where they go.
They brought Jay Crowder back, but he was terrible last year in the playoffs because he sat out, 2/3 of the season. They're hoping that he can come back. When you get into your mid-30s, sometimes it just doesn't come back.
He aged really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like dog years. He's like, he went from being like a kind of semi-athletic in Phoenix, knock down, spot up 3-point shooter, to barely being able to move. Didn't get any playing time hardly last year when it really counted. And then watching him in preseason, the quickness is no longer there. The little that he did have, and he's just probably become more of a stationary shooter. And in their system, can he get away with it? Yeah. But they need more from that position. Someone that can come out there and defend a good wing like a Tatum or Brown. And I don't think right now, if they played right now, I don't think he could guard either one of those guys.
Yeah, Jimmy was licking his chops. They were teammates at Marquette, and every time you saw him on the court, they didn't even play him in the last couple of games.
No.
He ran him right off the court.
And Jimmy played behind him,
Yeah.
because, Jay Crowder was the name player
was the
at
featured
Marquette.
guy,
He's the featured guy. And Jimmy was always in the shadows, in the background. And then, have an opportunity in the playoff series to go against
He
him.
punished him.
He's like, oh, yeah. See, this goes to show you. I should have been playing in front of you at Marquette. So I'm going to take it out on you right now.
Yeah. He had the old legs going. So we'll see
real old
if
legs.
Jay Crowder can bounce back. And they got the tank commander, our guy out there playing the backup point guard.
Hey, listen, America, okay? We joked about him here in Chicago, okay? We joked about him being the tank commander. But he has carved out a nice little career since the last 4 or 5 years. He had to go over to China, Cameron Payne. He had to go over to China. He had to learn the language over there for a year. Came back over here, had to play in the summer league, and then ended up getting on the bubble team. Mm-hmm. And then he was able to, from that, to parlay with Phoenix, a new contract. And he's been playing. He's been a very solid backup in Phoenix behind Chris Paul. And now you bring him here. He kind of picks up. He backs up Lillard, and he takes over that Javon Carter role that Javon was playing in Milwaukee. Gives you a little scoring. He can shoot the three. He's not much of a defensive player,
Right.
And I think that's where they hurt, because you lose two guards in Carter and then Drew Holiday that play both ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to hurt them in the end.
So it's going to be really a fascinating season. It tips off, as we mentioned, on Tuesday night. Cisco, put up the Bulls' win totals. We were talking about it with David. National media not very optimistic, having them at 37.5, and
which is a joke.
Yeah, plus 145 to make the playoffs. So not really thinking that the Bulls are going to be a playoff team this year. But, health is going to be a big factor in which teams are going to be in that 6 through 10 spot. And hopefully the Bulls can stay healthy and exceed that win total, get into that 45,
I mean,
47 range.
if I'm a betting man, I'm taking the over. I see the Bulls winning more than 37.5 games, okay? I see them, they won 42 last year. And the roster 40 last year. So they won 40 games last year, and they were hurt. You had Zach LaVine really struggled in the first part of the year. And then in the second half of the season, the Bulls were one of the best teams in the league after All-Star break.
They were.
So you got to factor in, if you're going to factor in that they've got better talent, they went out, their bench is going to be better. Their bench is going to be one of the best benches in the league. If Billy plays it the right way, they're going to have one of the deepest teams in the league this year, and that's going to help them propel them past 37.5 wins. I've got them winning anywhere between 45 and 48. Anywhere between those numbers, that's a realistic number for me. I look at them being somewhere between 5 and 8. I don't expect them to be in the playing game. I expect them to be a solid playoff team this year and not having to play those games to get into the playoffs.
When all gets started on Wednesday night, you're going to be hearing plenty of Give Me the Hot Sauce calls from Stacey, and that leads us to a commercial break with our good buddy Christopher Walken.
Thanks, Mark. It's time to start thinking about the holidays. If you're looking for gifts, what better gift than some hot sauce?
That's right.
Fill up the stockings, fill up the fireplace, fill up your refrigerator, whatever it takes, but have some hot sauce for the holidays.
But leave it in the bottle if you're putting in the stockings.
Yeah, don't pour it in there. But there's a lot of stupid people out there. Nothing surprises me anymore. But sometimes they don't even think about Thanksgiving. You put hot sauce on your turkey, put it on your ham, put it on the rolls. It's all good.
Oh, my goodness. The rolls?
Why
wow,
not?
Christopher Walken.
They're good for dipping, right?
It's out as in my house. Forget the cranberry sauce. Just
Yeah,
put on
not
some
much of
hot
that.
sauce.
Yeah, get the hot sauce instead of cranberry. I'm not a
So it's available at your local Jewel Osco store in Chicagoland. But if you don't live in the Chicagoland area, Christopher, tell the folks how they can get a bottle.
I would just go to gimmethehot.sauce.com and use one of my codes, Walking Q or Walking Fire. Get some free bottles. Save one for a gift.
How do you spell walking for people who aren't that familiar with it?
WALKEN and fire.
Foo Fighter.
It's like Foo Fighters. It's FIRE.
I'm telling you, listen, everybody, listen, America, listen to me. Okay, if you haven't tried this hot sauce, you're missing out. I guarantee you try one of those hot sauces, you're gonna be saying, man, this is some good hot sauce.
Absolutely.
I mean, I get people every single day that is now in Jewel. Tweet me every single day. They're showing me they're putting on their pizza, their hamburgers, enchiladas. They're just putting on everything, and they're going, "Oh my God, this is the best hot sauce I ever tasted." Yep. So I'm not here just to toot my own horn, but it's some damn good hot sauce.
There you go.
And guess what? She'll like it too.
So get your personal stock at GimmeTheHotSauce.com, and that guy Whispers will pack it for you, even though he's kind of
He loves the pack.
He's a credit risk and flight risk. He's got all kinds of problems right now.
Yeah, we can't even eat tonight. I mean, the guy's a loser.
Oh my God. Like 8 credit cards declined.
He can run a business, but he can't manage his finances.
Oh my God, we're struggling over here giving hot sauce right now, baby.
You call it one card.
Hey, we're out here selling hot sauce on the street corner, baby. Oh my God.
We'll take cash.
Nobody wants cash anymore.
Oh,
It's a
nobody.
dirty
Make it
word.
all.
Dirty word in this
Bitcoin, baby. We're trying to move the Bitcoins right now.
I got some of that too.
Your card is declined 8 times.
Oh, man.
Woo.
Whisper's solid as a rock
He's
financially.
solid, yes.
How many cards can I pull out of my wallet?
Hey, I was like, how many more cards we got? We're down to the last one.
Like the old clown thing with the handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, America, we're struggling today.
And you hand him an Apple card. There's no numbers on it.
Oh my God, we're struggling today, America.
Oh.
We're struggling today, America. You got to excuse us. We had a little incident today. We always our Sriracha crew. They're in charge of ordering food for the group, for everybody in the show. And today of all days, Monday had to be Monday. Whispers, aka
Credit risk.
Mr. Flight Risk. He had 8 cards. He pulled out all kind of cards. He had gold, platinum, black, blue, gray, diamond.
Yeah, they're all shapes and sizes,
they were all declined.
Throw them all in the trash.
So much for that no limit
Cut
rule.
them up with a scissors. Throw them away.
Well, we're making this smooth transition to college football. Stacey, did you
Sooners!
get a little nervous
Whoa.
watching that game on Saturday?
Mark, hush your mouth. Okay, don't ever say that. I'm not nervous about nothing. Did we win?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, we weren't worried about them. UCF, we wasn't worried about them.
Yeah. Except for that 2-point conversion, a little bit nervous.
Mark, I told you. Okay, don't get throw punched.
Had it all the way.
We had it all the way. 'Cause listen, we came off a bye. We had a huge win against Texas. We had a bye, and I hate when we come off a bye because I knew this was going to happen. We're playing a team that shouldn't even be in the same zip code as us. We allowed them to pretty much do what they wanted. The game was close. I'll give it to them. They played really, really, and Dylan Grable used to play for this team.
Yeah.
He used to be the quarterback for UCF before he transferred and got in the portal and came to Soonerland, baby.
So now you play Kansas this weekend? Is that at Kansas?
That's a big game.
Yeah.
That's a big game. So we'll be up for that. Kansas has the last couple of years is now becoming a football school now to match
they've been good.
basketball. Their program has really started to be on the rise. That'll be a big game. Kansas plays really, really well at home. We've beaten them there the last few years, but it's always been tough. So I expect the big game will be 11 o'clock, baby. Oh, baby, I'll be there. I'll be watching it.
And then the last edition of Bedlam at Oklahoma State.
We're not even looking at them. We're just bypassed them. We're looking at November 11th.
Is that like a bye?
Yeah, it's a bye. We're looking at November 11th against West Virginia, and we play BYU, who now is part of the Big 12.
Yeah.
So we're looking at them and then TCU. We don't even acknowledge Oklahoma State.
Looks like 12-0 to me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And playing into the bowl games, playing into the championship rounds.
How about Jim Harbaugh in Michigan winning 49-0 against
Nothing
Sparty?
more than
you know
cheating.
what? He's going to be the coach of the Bears next year
Yeah, it says he's eyeballing it.
because
he's
the
cheating.
NCAA is closing in on him, and he's going to,
They found out that the kid has been to 11 games.
He's going to pull a Pete Carroll.
The guy's been watching 11 teams. Cheating. Nothing more than cheating.
I'll bet
Jim
you his
Harbaugh-
credit card works.
Yeah, I bet it does too.
I don't know.
He got a lot of money
If
over
he
there.
tries to buy pizza.
Hey, Jim Harbaugh, he would be a good coach for the Bears, though.
Yeah. You think of what he did with the 49ers, that he did a really good job there.
Was that 3 straight NFC championship games?
I think so. And they went to the Super Bowl. where
Every
he
team he's
played
been
against
on.
his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Stanford was a powerhouse when he was there.
Brought them
And
back.
then he turned it over to the guy David. I forgot his name, but they carried.
He had Andrew Luck at
Yeah,
Stanford.
they had a nice little run at Stanford, and then he went to San Francisco, played with the 49ers, coached the 49ers, and he had Colin Kaepernick, turned him into, a great quarterback, great defense, and, him and his brother. I mean, that's one thing about it. They always have tough teams. Always have tough teams.
He was the last guy to sweep the Packers in a season as a Bears quarterback.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance that he's going to get an opportunity again to go up against the Packers as head coach of the Bears. So something to watch as we head into the offseason. Time for one of our favorite segments. What are we watching this weekend? Whispers has found an oldie but a goodie.
Hunters on Prime. So they loosely base these guys going after Nazis in South America, Europe, and the U.S. And sometimes they just run into one in a grocery store and you got to stab them right in the neck.
And Al Pacino was in season 1, kind of leading the group. Not a part of season 2, but
No, he is part of season 2. He's throughout the whole thing in flashbacks.
right.
But still
he
a
dead?
main part. Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert.
But a lot of flashbacks.
They killed me off.
Well, it's
I
on
don't
the-
know why they killed me off.
It's in the previews. So
Oh,
you
it
can't
is?
miss it. Even them
Yeah.
finding Hitler is in the previews. And Ava Braun.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that
Yeah.
Al Pacino right there in the middle
Yeah.
with the hair looking like?
No.
like Kenny
That's the other.
Loggins?
That's the kid.
No, he doesn't look like
They
that.
don't have
Oh.
Al Pacino in there. That's weird. He's
Well,
definitely
dead,
one of the
Jim.
stars.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah,
Hey,
no, it's a good show.
Whispers
It's
is
definitely worth it.
recommending
It
it.
starts off a little slow, but then the violence really picks up.
That's what I'm
nicely.
talking about. I need to see violence.
Yeah.
I like the
Around
violence.
nasty deaths, like
Yes, I
knives
like-
in the eyeball, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
All right, Stacey, you're up next.
Oh, Mission Impossible, baby.
Okay.
Oh, Dead Reckoning. Oh, I watched it last night and highly impressed. Tom Cruise, he's got to be like 60 years old. Okay, over 60.
Looks good,
And
though.
I'm going to tell you something, man. This dude is in shape. He doesn't seem like he ages. He does all his stunts, it seems like. Some of the stunts in this movie was unreal. And it's a part 1. There's going to be another part to this. And there's a lot of good actors in it. He got his crew with him, Ving Rhames and all his guys. And of course, there's pretty girls in there. But Tom Cruise, I'm telling you, man, when you look at Tom Cruise, like he never ages, like Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
He's just aging in reverse.
And there's tons of action. I mean,
Hey, listen, realistic action. I mean, it's not like, John Wick who falls out of a 15-story window and is like a Marvel superhero and is able to miraculously or fall down like these steps of like 1,000,000 steps and he's able to get up and walk away. But it's the action is realistic and Tom Cruise does a good job in this movie.
And my recommendation, they've come back with a 3rd season of The Morning Show. It features Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. It's on Apple TV. And, the thing about it is if you're in the business, you really understand all the backstabbing and people climbing over each other trying to get the plum assignments. And even if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the graphic. Those two went head-to-head trying to get the plum assignments, doing anything and everything to try to distinguish themselves over the other. And they brought in John Hamm this year as a guy who bought their network. It's really a fun show, especially if you've got any media in your background, because I could tell you a million stories, but
Me too.
people just doing whatever they can
Me
to
too.
try to get ahead.
What season is this for that show? Because I
This is
watched it in
3.
the first season.
This is season
and
3.
when Reese Witherspoon was just an amateur, like she just came on and
From a small market,
from a
yeah.
small market, and I was fine. I was like, man, this is a pretty good show, and I just thought it was just going to be like a one-time deal, and I did not know they were going to go into 2nd and 3rd
Yeah.
season. That's
Do
impressive.
they look that good, though, in the show? That's a great pick.
Jennifer Aniston again. She's
Yeah.
held her looks. She's
like
got
the
to be
Tom
Yeah,
Cruise.
Yeah. She looks good.
You all right?
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston looks good, man. She's smoking.
So those are the recommendations that we have for you today. Then if Mike is listening in the car, he could probably weigh in on Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon.
Mike's probably sweating right now. He got his shirt off. He's doing push-ups in the parking lot. 64 degrees today, America. He's out there sweating right now. Oh, Windy City Limo provides a championship service. Making a reservation is so easy. It's a slam dunk.
Double twins.
Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact Windy City at 847-916-9300. That's 847-916-9300, or visit WindyCityLimos.com and ask for my personal driver, the great Mike Amaroth. He's the perfect. He stopped by. Let me tell you something. Mike always takes care of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so today I was a little sleepy. I was tired. I was sleeping in the car. He went and got me some Starbucks. He got me Starbucks to wake me up. In America, that's why
And his credit card worked.
His credit card worked. It always works. Hey, that's one thing I don't have to worry about. Mike's money's good. I can't say too much about Timmy Whispers over here. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. I don't know.
I tried to do some Shiba Inus and those didn't work either.
Listen, hey, when our Sriracha crew comes in like 8 times and says that card didn't work, that card didn't work, that card didn't work, I was like, wow, we hit rock bottom.
That's right.
Finally done.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you got any more breaking news before we get out of here, Whispers, other than your bankruptcy pending?
It includes a player option for Giannis in 27.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was like an hour ago. It's too late. Give us some new news.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
Yeah,
schedule us coming on.
But that suspension, Kareem Jackson,
Okay.
for hitting the tight end, 7 games.
Yeah, that's pretty severe.
But that's like
Yeah.
his 4th penalty. Like he's
500.
targeting.
It's going to cost him $560,000.
But that's like his 4th time he's been flagged.
Yeah.
Right?
It's,
Well, if he
they
didn't learn
gotta
after the
start doing
first
that.
2.
yeah.
Oh, you got something to say, Cisco?
Yeah, we're having problems with the microphones out there with the Sriracha crew.
Oh my goodness.
hat's
You got-
too tight.
his-
It's
his-
been a
You
struggle.
guys hear me now?
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you. Yes.
Just update on the Phillies D-backs game is 5-1 D-backs.
All right, so we could be headed to a game 7 in both
Bottom of the
leagues.
7th.
Where are they playing at tonight?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
That's impressive
Yeah.
because it's hard
Yeah.
to beat the Phillies in Philadelphia. They got that lead like that, boy, and they got to go finish the game. Is it game 7 in
Game
Philly?
7 is Philadelphia, too.
Ooh, man.
And remember, the Diamondbacks killed the Cubs season. They beat them 6 out of 7 in September. So they're the ones that sent the Cubs
So
home.
they're playing some good baseball
Yeah.
when it counts. And
Not
then
a lot of big names, but that is a good squad.
the Rangers and the Astros is a great series.
Game 7 Monday night. Yeah. So baseball getting excited.
Come
as we
on,
get to the World
Dusty.
Series.
Dusty, baby, come on, baby, got to win.
Hopefully they'll finish the season before Thanksgiving. It keeps going later and later, but they've been lucky with the weather so far. Hopefully that'll continue.
70
as we
degrees
head-
tomorrow. Is this like 75 degrees tomorrow?
Yeah,
In
in
Chicago?
Chicago.
Oh,
But you never know what's going to be like in Philadelphia. They have the World
Hey,
Series.
forget
there.
them. Who cares? We only care about
We're going to
Chicago.
enjoy the
We're gonna
weather.
enjoy our weather.
So we're going to get out of here. We're going to say goodbye. I want to thank the Sriracha crew. I want to thank our guests. I thank David Schuster for joining us, talking some NBA, and Mark Grote giving us the latest on the Bears. And as we mentioned with our breaking news, Giannis Antetokounmpo signs a 3-year extension with the Bucks. So until next time, make sure to tune in as the Bulls get their season started, and we will see you next week with the early results.
Drive home safely, Chicago. Beep, beep.
Oh my goodness! It's only preseason, but I'm hyped, Neil.